Thank you, Mr. Wagner. With gratitude from the Upper Adams School District. To learn to read is to light a fire. Every syllable that is spelled out is a spark. Victor Hugo. A large part of your generous donation helps to fund our use of the Wilson Reading System. Why the Wilson Reading System? Because it's built on the principle everyone deserves to learn to read. It's backed by the science of reading, which is what educators and scientists know works with teaching reading. It utilizes the Orton-Gillingham approach to instruction, which is direct, multisensory, and interactive. It can be used for students ranging from kindergarten through 12th grade and even into adulthood. Instruction can be delivered in a variety of settings, large group, small group, or even one-to-one. We see the success with our students. Over the years, your donation has helped us to acquire additional materials, get training for professionals, reach more students, and share successes with parents. Here at Upper Adams, we use the Wilson program every single day. The Wilson Reading System is used daily with students who are in regular education and receive intervention to improve their reading skills in order to prevent further problems, and in learning support to improve their reading skills in order to address an already identified learning disability like dyslexia. Let's take a look at Wilson by the numbers at Upper Adams School District. How many teachers, assistants, and students are benefiting from using the Wilson Reading System this year? Here are some teacher and student stats. At Biglerville Elementary School, we have 12 kindergarten students, 10 students in first grade, 28 second grade students, and 19 students in third grade, for a grand total of 69 students served by 8 different instructors. At the Upper Adams Intermediate School, we have 10 students in 4th grade, 11 5th grade students, and 11 students in 6th grade, for a grand total of 32 students served by 4 different instructors. What does instruction with the Wilson Reading System look like? Here are some tools for teaching within the Wilson Reading System. You'll notice many visual aids, including the alphabet, mouth formations, sound wall cards with things like welded sounds and digraphs, of course the letters, word cards, and the very important magnet board, which is used for building and manipulating words. Now for some fun. Here is just a sampling of the teachers and students who are utilizing the Wilson Reading System across our school district. First, we have a kindergarten group led by Mrs. Lindsay Naus, who is one of our reading specialists at Biglerville Elementary School. Here we will see kindergarten students start their lesson with practice of reciting the name, sound, and picture for each letter.
A, apple, A.
A, apple, A.
V, van.
V, van.
Do you feel the tickle? Right? W,
Wind,
walk.
W, wind, walk.
It's important for our youngest students to become automatic with letter and sound correspondence, as this is a key building block in learning how to read.
Are you ready? Say the sound it makes. Good job.
Early on, students begin working on magnet boards so they can build words and learn to manipulate parts of words. Here, kindergarten students start by learning to identify the first letters and sounds of words.
Sock. Sock. What letter do we need for sock?
S.
You were right.
I put it on.
What letter is that, Braylon? And what letter says?
S.
Good job.
Now we have the primary life skills support classroom led by Mrs. Alex Weigel, one of our special education teachers at Biglerville Elementary. The Wilson approach uses a variety of visuals and manipulatives so students can hear, see, touch, tap, slide, and say sounds and words. This multisensory approach is proven to assist the brain in retaining information. Here we watch Mrs. Weigel at work with one of her students.
Good. All right, I'm going to build the word fox too. Fox. Why don't we point and tap? Ready? Fox. Fox. Excellent.
Now we have first and second grade groups led by Mrs. Betty Warren, one of our instructional assistants within the primary learning support classroom. These second graders were excited to demonstrate their reading skills. Reading phonics-based decodable text helps them to directly apply their skills and gain confidence in their reading.
Tim and Ed had a ball and a net. Ed got the net up in the shed. Tim sank the ball in the net. Then Ed got the ball.
Here's a second grade group led by Mrs. Marjorie Howery, our intervention teacher at Biglerville Elementary School. As students progress through lessons, they learn about the anatomy of the English language. Here, a group of second graders led by Mrs. Marjorie Howery build words using welded sounds and then change the word by adding a suffix.
Now give me the welded sound. Ink. Ink. How do we spell ink? Okay, so let's put that back. And let's make another one. Ready? I know. Ready? Our next one is the word. Listen carefully. Sing. Sing. You need to tap that welded sound. Remember to use your 3 fingers. Sing. Sing. I like to sing a song. Sing. Okay. Let me take a look. Hands away. Let me see. I see sing. Now, I want you to change the word sing. Hold on. To sings. Sings. Ethan sings a song every day. Sings. Sings. You see?
That would be Singlish.
Why?
Why not?
Because if you have the ES, it's going to make that extra syllable. Do we have an extra syllable in sings? No, it's just sings. Okay? So everybody's got that one correct. Put it back.
Next, we have a third grade group who is led by Mrs. Dusty Dively, one of our instructional assistants within a learning support classroom. The lead teacher within the room, Mrs. Nancy Miller, who happens to be retiring this year after 43 years of teaching, had this to say about the classroom. In the third grade learning support classroom, we have 5 students receiving Wilson instruction ranging from 60 to 90 minutes every day. When Silviano came to us from another school in the fall, he was only able to read 5 sight words, and by January, he was able to read 30 books. At the beginning of the year, Charlie was reading at a mid-kindergarten level and has now read 50 books. I will miss this part of teaching for sure. Mrs. Pamela Schaefer, an intervention teacher at the Upper Adams Intermediate School, works with 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students. 3 4th grade students, along with their teacher, Mrs. Pam Schaefer, demonstrate how to mark a word by identifying syllables and vowels.
Mark this word to help us pronounce it. Tell me what you would do first. Erica?
Underline.
Okay. A little louder.
Then you would put a little line between the V and the second V.
Good. And what does that tell you?
That's where you would split it.
That's where you would divide it into, what is it?
Syllables.
Syllables. Okay. So then the next thing we want to do is to let the reader know where the syllables go to. Where do the syllables go? Penelope?
Between Seth and
And how do I show that?
You scoop
Scoop it. I'm going to scoop this part
and you scoop this.
and scoop this part. Now I need to think, are they open or closed syllables? Think about the vowel sound. Is it a long or a short vowel?
Short.
It is a short, and we know it's closed because the vowel has a consonant right there, right? Holding it there, holding it in. So if it's a short vowel, what symbol do we put?
You put a breath above.
Which tells the reader to pronounce that as a short vowel sound. And then we're going to go over here.
And put another breath above the E and then put two C's.
To say these are closed, closed. Right.
And there you have it. When asked to give some thoughts about her experience with Wilson reading, this is what Mrs. Pam Schaefer had to say. I have 28 plus years of teaching 4th, 5th, and 6th grade and will be retiring at the end of this year. Last summer, I was trained in Wilson reading, which is a Tier 3 intervention that is the answer for intermediate students who were unable to master phonics or perhaps were never taught phonics at the primary level. This intervention works because it uses repetition to teach letter sounds and word elements. I have been very pleased with the connection students make with spelling as well as reading. It would be wonderful if all students in Upper Adams were taught the foundations of Wilson reading in the program created for students in kindergarten through 2nd grade called Foundations. I truly believe we would have fewer students in our learning support. I am certain it would lessen the number of students needing IST interventions. A solid phonics instruction block in primary classrooms would be a great starting point for literacy instruction in Upper Adams. It has honestly made me a much better language arts instructor. I wish all teachers had the strategies that Wilson provides in their toolboxes. Here's a picture of Mrs. Lindemulder, an instructional assistant at the Upper Adams Intermediate School, teaching a Wilson reading strategy in which the student taps out the sounds of each letter of the displayed word. The student combines the sounds to determine the word. K, a, t, cat. The cards on the cabinet are the Wilson letter sound cards used to teach. Mrs. Lindemulder loves the Wilson program and has used it with hundreds of students over the span of her career. When asked to share a few words about her experience, Mrs. Lindemulder said, I continue to see great value in the program. The children who I work with are definitely becoming more confident readers, and I am thankful we have the support of Mr. Wagner to fund this. This is Octavia, a delightful 5th grade student who received Foundations instruction last year. This year, she receives a double block of intervention, one of Foundations and one of Wilson. She is working hard to become a better reader. At the intermediate school, Mrs. Johnson teaches all 3 levels of the Wilson reading system, Foundations, Wilson, and Just Words. She asked her 5th and 6th grade students to share their thoughts about their experience with Wilson instruction and our generous donor, Mr. Wagner. Mateo, a 6th grader, wrote, Thank you for helping me to get the lessons we need. Some words were hard to read, and now some are easy. Mrs. Johnson taught us to spell and speak hard words. Thank you for helping us. Now I am a little bit more smart. Adrian, another 6th grader, wrote, When I was a 4th grader, I read Dr. Seuss books. Now I can read chapter books and I know how to spell words. Thank you for giving us Wilson so we can learn. 6th grader Emma said, Thank you, Mr. Wagner, for all the materials. You are great. My teacher has a lot of things to help us learn. 2 5th grade students wrote, Thank you, Mr. Wagner, for the sound cards. The materials make me a better reader. I was reading picture books, and now I'm reading much harder books. Dear Mr. Wagner, thank you for all the money you give to the Wilson groups. Since I am in the Wilson group, I am better at saying the alphabet, writing better, and reading. One 6th grade student wrote, Thank you for everything that you paid for the school. We can now read well because our teachers know how to do Wilson. Mrs. Lindemulder and Mrs. Johnson are good at doing their work. They're good at teaching and they're good at doing Wilson. Now I can read and then write good words that are hard. Thank you for everything that you bought on the board for Wilson. A 5th grade student demonstrates her reading skills using decodable text from the Wilson reading system. Decodable texts allow students to practice reading words following patterns they have explicitly learned so they can apply their skills with connected text, allowing them practice at becoming fluent readers.
New blanket out of the closet, then he got the picnic basket from the front hall. Kendrick had asked his friend Britt to go on a picnic with him down by the old windmill. Britt would bring the drinks and the sunblock, and Kendrick said he would come with the blanket and lunch.
Hi, Mr. Wagner. If you're wondering who you've been listening to throughout this presentation, it's me, Melissa McLean, the school psychologist at Upper Adams. I had a few closing thoughts I'd like to share with you. If there is one area of my job that I am most passionate about, it is reading. All facets of reading, from understanding how we learn to read, to how we should teach reading, and also how best to help children become successful at it. Although I do not teach children directly, I work closely with those who do, helping them to better understand how students learn and how we can better teach all students. Several years ago, when the notion of funds to serve students with dyslexia was brought to my attention, I was asked how I thought this money could best be spent. At the time, we already had some Wilson materials being used in the district, but not with any sort of consistency and by only a few people, maybe 2 or 3. I knew immediately what my recommendation would be: to get Wilson materials into more hands so that we could use a program validated to work, because far too many of our students had a need for it. In looking back on that first year of expanding the Wilson program, I know we would not have been able to get this type of instruction to this many students without your contribution. If you had not specified the funds needed to impact students with dyslexia, this would not have happened. In using the program over time at Upper Adams, it has helped to expose our educators to learning better techniques to teach and getting them to realize the immense importance of this type of explicit instruction for our students. If I am honest, I think of you as a partner in helping Upper Adams move toward the science-based approach Wilson Reading embodies. Thank you for being our partner and for having a tremendously positive impact to the teachers and students of this community. Mr. Wagner, we hope you feel our love for you and that your heart is filled by our gratitude every single day.